All right, everybody, welcome back into the WSAZ Now studio. This is another episode of WSAZ Sports Plus. We are live here in Huntington, West Virginia. I am joined by WSAZ Sports Director Keith Morehouse. As always, it is February 11th, Keith.
Wow.
We're in the thick of things in high school and college basketball. The Olympics are happening. Some big announcements coming from one of our local universities. All kinds of things to talk about. How you feeling, brother?
I'm good. The snow is melting, so I was in the market for a snowmobile, but now I'm going to kind of hold off. But you never know. Those might be handy. It's getting into February. Conference basketball races are tightening up. And, no, it's a good time of year. And spring is in the offing on the horizon.
I was so glad to see everything thaw out because we kind of put life on hold last week. You know, there was a lot of games that got canceled, and there were bigger fish to fry last week. Just, trying to get out of your driveway was difficult, let alone get to an away game or something.
Starts to wear on you.
It does, but now it feels a little more spring-like. We can blame the groundhog, I guess. It was his problem.
Which one? There's about 10 of them now. See,
which one do you trust?
I mean, I got to go with the OG, right? Punxsutawney Phil?
Punxsutawney Phil?
Even though there is a French Creek Freddy from West Virginia, right?
I think every state has one.
Yeah.
I think Ohio's is Buckeye Chuck. Does the university sign off on that up there, or is that owned by the state of Ohio?
What's his name? It's the Buckeye Chuck.
I guess it's the Buckeye Chuck. So I don't know what he had to say about it all, but I know Punxsutawney Phil said, "Wintertime, boys."
Yeah,
that's what we're doing.
We kind of knew that.
Let's go to Marshall Hoops, man. Let's start with Saturday because you were there. I would imagine that was a pretty incredible atmosphere despite the end result. It's not the result that the Herd wanted or Herd fans wanted, but just talk about that environment when you get a big-time opponent in there that has a target on their back and you got them in your own building. That had to be pretty cool. What was that like?
Yeah, it was a full house, and it was a team that Marshall fans are familiar with, the Red Hawks, and the Herd go way back in the Mid-American Conference days, and you see the crowd, they're all fired up for it. And I thought Travis Steele and the Red Hawks did a really nice job of just coming out guns blazing. That early 9-2 start, I think, really kind of shook Marshall. And maybe the Herd came in a little bit you can be too keyed up or maybe just a little nervous because the Red Hawks came out and sent a message, and it was uphill for the Herd the rest of the day. I will say after – watching the whole thing, Marshall outscored Miami in the second half, but being down 19 at halftime kind of seals your fate. But that's a really good Miami team. And for people who go, they're the last remaining unbeaten team. They move the ball really well. To me, they look like a top 25 team. And I don't care. We talked about this last week. I don't care what league you play in. If you go undefeated in all the travels that you have, especially in the MAC, which is basically a bus league, that's hard. And for them to come into Huntington and do that, that was a game that was almost a pick 'em in terms of the odds makers. And for them to just put it on them, I thought showed a lot of composure and a quality team. And let's say they don't make it to win the MAC championship in Cleveland. They lose one or two games.
There's not many left for them to lose now.
They really can't. They go to Ohio, which will be a test. But
last game of the regular season.
I hope against hope that they don't lose 3 or 4 games and put it on the committee, and the committee invites the 5th place team in a Power 4 league. I just hope that doesn't happen.
It usually trends that way.
Yeah,
Ask Indiana State about that a few years back.
It does. Murray State, I think, has been that fate has befallen them too. And I understand they don't have the quality schedule. That's for whatever reason they didn't play a big time out of conference schedule, but the regular season's got to mean something. And again, watching them in person, I just thought they move without the ball really well. They don't have a superstar that kills you. They just lull you to sleep with 5 really good players on the floor at any given time, and they handle pressure. And I thought they were every bit as good as advertised.
What do you think about doing something like this late in the season? We're used to these interconference challenges and playing outside of your league in late November, December, sometimes even early January. For something like this to happen in the thick of a conference title race in the middle of February, I'm sure there are a lot of differing opinions on that. Is this a good thing? As a coach, would you rather get it out of the way early?
I think coaches would. I think by and large, most of them, they like the conference, if you want to call it a grind. Sure. But because then you got to switch focus. The Marshall women had to go up to Mount Pleasant to play Central Michigan. Not an easy chore. They took care of business, which is really good for the women. But I think if you polled all the coaches, they'd probably say, let's take care of this in the non-conference portion of the schedule.
Yeah. I guess the trade-off would be getting Miami here in February when they're 22-0 or whatever they were, 23-0. Probably more people showing up to that game than if it was back in December and we didn't know how good they were.
Right. No question there was a lot of juice in there because of that. And it was good for Huntington and good for the attendance. And, it was good for just a basketball atmosphere that you like to see in February. Yeah. But, coaches are creatures of habit, and they don't like to deviate from what they're used to. And to be honest with them, they're all in the midst of these conference races. And so, but no, in this case, I thought it was good. And for Miami's case, I thought it was good because all the experts are saying this was their biggest test going down the stretch.
This might be the one.
And and I think that woke them up, and Coach Steele had them ready to go. So good for them. Well,
no harm done because it wasn't a league game. So Marshall 15-9 overall now, 7-4 in league play. It's good enough for fourth place, just a game and a half back. You still have, I think 7 games left for them, probably 5 for the women at this point in time. And they're on the road this week. An Old Dominion team on Wednesday, tonight, that just got done beating Ohio U.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a lot of people thought that was going to be the case for the Ohio Old Dominion game. What do you make of the two opponents this week? Old Dominion tonight, Georgia Southern on Saturday.
Well, we'll start with Old Dominion. That they're 9-15, which is not really what they're normally used to in Norfolk. And Marshall fans are used to always going over there with a good crowd. They didn't even have a good crowd for Ohio, so you could tell they're having a down year. But just as they demonstrated against the Bobcats, and I know that Coach Jackson knows this. I mean, watching all these teams in the Sun Belt, there are teams that are on the bottom tier, and there's the ones on the top tier. Any of them can beat you. I mean, Southern Miss came into Huntington, and Marshall had to fight and beat them, 81-77. So it'll be a test in Norfolk because they don't want Marshall to come in and beat them. So that's a tough game. And then they've got Georgia Southern on Saturday, and the Eagles that always seems to be a close game.
Yeah.
So, and then 2 more the following week. So it's a tough stretch for them, and this is where they got to bow up and say, all right, depending on when you want to play in Pensacola, these 4 games are huge.
Yeah, I mean, coaches at this stage in the season understand that you have to go on a road trip in league play. They probably just like, oh, boy, let's get out of here with minimal damage, see if we can't steal one here and there because the crowd is such a factor in college basketball. It really is. So hopefully for the fellas, they can figure it out this week. You want to move on to the women now.
Yeah, they had
a huge week for them as well.
Wow, I mean, to get wins at South Alabama and Central Michigan, you're going from Mobile to Mount Pleasant. There's no direct road that I know of that takes you there. You got to fly.
And, no easy way to get there.
Yeah, and you could tell with Coach Folks in her post game at Central that she just had this look of relief on her face. And she talked a little bit about the MAC Sun Belt Challenge, and I think her feelings are pretty well known that they'd probably rather not do it. But you know what? The more you do that, the tougher it makes your team, right? You go up against a team, first of all, you don't know very well, so you got to really kind of scout them. And then you got to prove you can go beat a team on the road that's not in your league. Yeah. And so good on them for doing that, and they get 2 home games this week, and they're right there in the thick of things. And on Saturday, they've got Arkansas State that top the standings. So they got a chance to move up. And then, if they can get 2 wins this week, they can almost ensure themselves a top 4 finish and not have to worry about playing those early games in Pensacola.
Arkansas State's one of those teams that really, it's kind of been wire to wire at the top of the conference all year long for them. I can remember when we had Ilderton and Mayer in here, when we were walking them out of the building, I had mentioned Arkansas State to them. I was like, they seem to be pretty good this year. And they're like, they play a fun style of basketball. And I had mentioned, hey, sounds like Valentine's Day, you get them here. Well, now here we are. It's that week. And I know we can't jump ahead of the Georgia State game, but that Arkansas State game has a Miami-ish game feel. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people at the CAM on Saturday.
Yeah, and credit also goes to Tamaya Lewis-Utsi. She was Sunbelt Player of the Week for the 3rd time. She had 36 points and 8 steals against Central Michigan. Also, one of the National Players of the Week.
Tag on.
So she's done herself some good this year. 5 30-point games this year. Only 4 other players in college basketball, women's game, have done that. So she's been kind of the go-to scorer. She can get you a bucket when you need it. And then when you mentioned Ilderton and Mayer and the rest of the complimentary, not complimentary, they're really good players. They got a chance to stamp on a good finish here and go to Pensacola on a good run.
Did the coaches just not pay attention to the Marshall roster in the preseason? Because I don't recall seeing Tamaya Lewis-Utsi's name in any of the preseason All-American lists or preseason all conference lists. It sounds like she must have just snuck up on a lot of people because she's lit up everybody.
Yeah, and she's got this part of her game that they really needed was somebody to, go get you a basket, penetrate, takes people off the dribble. Has got an array of moves. She clearly plays defense with 8 steals. And came over from Virginia Commonwealth. And sometimes when you come in from a different league, you don't get as much acclaim. And
coaches just don't know who you are.
Yeah, well, go look. And I know they know who she is now. That's for sure.
You think she has a shot at possibly being Conference Player of the Year at the end of it?
I think there are like 2 or 3 women that are in the running, but certainly she's going to be in the mix. It's going to come down to the wire. Who wins these games as we get ready for Pensacola?
Sure.
It's going to have a big say, I would think.
Let's move on to some of the other teams of local interest. As I do, I'm always paying attention to our buddy Joe Lenardi and his bracketology. Things have gone south for the Ohio State Buckeyes. He has them as one of the first 4 out, which is not what Buckeye fans want to hear. So tough week, another loss to Michigan.
Yeah.
He does have Kentucky as a 7 seed right now, so good times in Lexington as far as the Big Blue Nation is concerned.
They've won, what, is this now at 9 of 10, if I'm counting right, or 8 of 9, one of those
Just
2.
that Vanderbilt game, right?
Yeah, that was
about the one they lost.
And that was all after they had that bad loss to Missouri, and Cats fans were on the ledges and, threatening to withhold support and go find another favorite team like college fans do. But no, Mark Pope's done a great job, and they've gone through some tough opponents and gotten some big wins. Got a big win at Tennessee this weekend, and so they're in good shape. And a 7 seed, I think they take that right now after the start they had. So good on them. And West Virginia had a tough outing at home against Texas Tech, but Texas Tech is good, really good. They're the reason they're number 13 in the country. And the Mountaineers, I think people have kind of the prescription on defense is try to make sure that Honor Huff doesn't kill you and Trayson Eaglestaff doesn't kill you, and then make everybody else score. And they had tough offensive outings in that game, and Texas Tech hit a lot of 3-pointers, and that was their downfall. So both them and Kentucky had a week off, and both play Saturday. Kentucky plays Florida, and West Virginia goes to UCF. So those are tough games for both those teams.
Yeah. Seems like WVU is going to have to get hot here down the stretch, or win the league on that cool floor they got at the Big 12 conference tournament.
Yeah, man,
people haven't seen it.
Oh my goodness, fans are going to be in a dizzy, and whatever else you can think. It's pretty cool looking at that LED floor.
Yeah, if you folks, I wish we could show it. It's not our video, but it's an LED glass floor that the Big 12 conference tournament's going to be played on, and they can just basically make it look like whatever they want. It's like playing on a giant TV.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
It's like.
Maybe that'll will the Mountaineers to some victories in Kansas City.
Well, those tournaments are always fun. That one in the Big 12 tournament's always such a competitive. You saw Arizona get beat at Kansas this week, number 1. Kansas looks like they've really rounded into form. They were struggling early, and then you got Houston's good, Texas Tech, and the rest of the crowd, and BYU, and it's a tough league. So you know what? Go in there with the attitude. Why not? Why not us, right?
Ryan Epling was telling me he saw somebody tweet a stat out, something crazy like Kansas hadn't lost a Monday night basketball game at home in like 25 years.
I think they're 50-0 on big Mondays or
That's
something like
crazy.
that. Yeah.
Also, who's keeping track of that?
Also,
is there a filter on a website that you can say, all right, Mondays at home?
And wouldn't you just schedule that a Monday night game every Monday?
Every week, man. We'll just count them all as wins, Sharpie them.
And I believe that's the first time they've knocked off a number 1 team at home since sometime in the 50s when Kansas State was number 1. So not even like the modern era.
Right.
And to do that to Arizona, and Arizona's, man, I've seen them play a bunch of times. They are the real deal. And Kansas didn't have their best player. The Darren Peterson kid was out. So
what do you think about him in the minutes he plays? Is that intentional or is that something else?
There's been a lot of talk lately about that. Whether he's immensely talented.
He's so good.
Some saying, the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft. But you got to be there's an old quote, I can't remember which coach used to say it, but he goes, the best players are the ones that are available. And you got to make yourself available.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, he could have been down, to the flu or whatever reason he didn't play against Kansas. Mm-hmm. But, man, you got to want your stars to want to play every single minute. Because they set the tone for the rest of your team. Mm-hmm. And as talented as he is, he needs to be in those big games. And I can understand why people are looking a little bit leery at some of the games and some of the times he's missed.
It's just a head scratcher because, like you said, he's probably a top 2 pick, and he's showing you that with really only playing about half a basketball game every night. And it just kind of makes you wonder, like, if he's good enough to show us that in half a game, why isn't he out there for longer?
You hope he doesn't get bored. He's got a grown man game, man. He can play.
No kidding.
And so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But I know he's probably heard those murmurs. And
Sure.
so, Bill Self, I'm sure.
We don't know what we don't know.
No, that news didn't come out till, what, a half hour before the game?
Yeah.
So we'll see. But they're to do that without him against Arizona, quality win.
I would just be concerned come tournament time when, you're not going to blow out teams all the time. You're going to need a guy like that late in the game or for the majority of the game. And if you've not repped it all year long, kind of like what we said about Ohio State football, if you've not repped a certain style or just playing 30-plus minutes a game, will you have the conditioning, the lungs under you to do it in March?
Yeah, you gotta have all your horses ready to run when you get into especially because of the number of games you're playing back to back, and of course when you get into the NCAA tournament, you got to win 6. So, got to have your best players.
It's just very interesting. Who knows what's going on? All right, Keith, 2026 Winter Olympics. Where you want to start here? We can talk ice hockey, we can talk Lindsey Vonn, whatever you want to go.
Well, I have my own thoughts on Lindsey Vonn. I've heard all the criticism out there. Did she take a spot from one of the other racers? Should she have been doing it on a torn ACL? Listen, that woman has earned the right to race as much and where she wants to race. The fact that she wanted to do it shows a tremendous tenacity that I don't think maybe those of us who aren't world-class athletes don't know. She hooked a ski on a gate, which could happen whether she had a torn ACL or not. The guts that she took to take that run, good on her. I'm not going to criticize her. I think she had the third fastest time of the 5 downhillers on America's team, so it wasn't as if she was, bringing up the rear. So I felt bad for her. It's awful, but Breezy Johnson ended up winning, another American, which she gets her name out there now, which is cool. But I'm a big fan. Love to watch the Winter Olympics and the settings and the cities and the snow. It's to me it's one of the coolest things that you can see because it only comes around every 4 years.
I know a lot of people, like you said, have been critical of Lindsey Vonn. Say, she's crazy. She's going to hurt herself even more. And I'm kind of like, this is her farewell moment.
Yeah.
If you can last another week and go through a little bit of pain, what's the saying? Pain's temporary, glory's forever.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I view this. I'm like, I get it. You've worked your entire life for this, and you're wanting to give it one last go around. And if you feel like you can give it that go, give it that go.
And it's not as if she didn't take those 2 training runs and make it down the slope.
Yeah, she looks
the second one, she was 2 seconds faster than the first one.
Uh-huh.
So all this talk that, that's what caused it. I'm not a doctor. I have torn an ACL. I knew I wouldn't be. There's no way in the world I could
Would you be skiing?
I did have surgery on Friday and came to work on Monday, though. I was impressed with that. But anyway, just on crutches doesn't mean you're skiing down a slope at 80 miles an hour.
Were you at work with a torn ACL?
I was. Uh-huh.
So you had some ACL sportscasts.
Yeah.
Like Jordan flu game. Keith ACL sportscast.
Yeah. You had to. Nobody cares. You got to do your job.
Right. They don't want to hear you complain
and
about that.
And my doctor was good, so he fixed me up. Whatever.
Good stuff. So, yeah. So I thought it was cool, despite the way it ended for her. Whether it had anything to do with her knee or not. Maybe on a healthy knee she turns the corner a little tighter. Who knows?
Maybe she's not that close to the gate. Yeah. We'll never know. And all we'll know is that she wanted to do it, and she did it, and she went out, and as she didn't go out as she wanted, but 41 years old, to have that comeback she had, good for her. Yeah,
let it rock. We'll go on to ice hockey. I've been watching our women's team, who right now they look to be the favorite to win the whole daggone thing.
Dominant.
First time anyone has ever shut out Canada in the Winter Olympics, and we just did. I'm not on the team. The United States women's hockey team just did that. They're 4-0. They have wins over the Czech Republic, Finland, Switzerland, and Canada most recently. How about in that Switzerland game, Keith? You and I talked about this earlier. Our goaltender was Gwyneth Phillips, who grew up in Athens, Ohio.
How crazy is that?
Pitched a shutout against Switzerland. Pretty cool. So I don't know if she's the starting goalie. She didn't start against Canada, but she was between the pipes against Switzerland and didn't give up a goal. So that's pretty cool.
Of famous people who have darkened the doors of Athens, Ohio, Joe Burrow, this goalie, Joseph Payton.
I'm not from there, but I did go to school there.
You went under the you went under the trellis and went on the campus.
Absolutely.
No, that's very cool. And they scored 5 goals in all those wins. That's unheard of.
Their goal differential is like plus 19. I think they've outscored opponents 20-1.
I think they actually. Canada was shocked hockey world was shocked.
Yep.
That's always the gold medal game anyway. And now it looks like, I don't know who's stopping Americans.
Yeah. I think the last time they won gold was 2018. We've come in second. We've got 1 million silver medals. I think 2 golds, 98 and 18. I was looking up before the episode. So poised to win another one if all things go according to plan. They're on to, I guess you could call it the knockout round. I guess if you lose a game, I think you still are kind of in a consolation bracket for what I imagine would be the bronze medal. But they've got a quarterfinal against the host team, Italy.
Yeah, that's always
on
dangerous.
Friday, and if I read it correctly, 3:10 our time. I think it's like 9 o'clock, almost 10 o'clock at night
late.
over there.
Yeah.
So if people want to watch that Friday at 3, our girls are playing Italy to head to the semifinals if they were to win that game.
Yeah, I don't see anybody stopping them now. And then the men's team gets started on Thursday against Latvia, the Latvians.
Latvia, there's 3 groups in the men's tournament. I think there were just 2 in the women's group A and B. We're in Group C, so the men get Latvia on Thursday, Denmark on Saturday, Germany on Sunday, and then after that, well, you just got to hope that you took care of business and you have enough points to move on to the real deal.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
It's fun, man. We just talked about the documentary on the 1980 team.
I did watch it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
You liked it, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, man. The ending part where they're walking down, Main Street there in Lake Placid, I was like, imagine visiting Lake Placid, and you're probably there because you're wanting to get that historic Olympic experience or you're a winter sports enthusiast.
Yes.
To see those guys just
Coming at
casually
you.
walking
Yeah.
down the street, I'd be like, is this real life?
It's crazy. No, it's really, really, really well done. I would
Unbelievable.
highly recommend it.
All right, final bit, and this is a big announcement from Shawnee State. Today, Gerald Cadogan, the NCAA, President Braun, putting out some information that Shawnee State officially granted membership to move up to D2. That will happen really this summer, so they'll finish up their last year of NAIA athletics, and Shawnee State moving up in every single sport to D2. This is quite a big step, and they're going to be playing some teams that our folks are certainly familiar with in this area.
Yeah, the Mountain East Conference, they're going to join there. It's a big, big jump for athletics in terms of facilities, in terms of the athletes, in terms of the sports. And they're going to the Mountain East where we've known, University of Charleston, West Virginia State, Glenville, Salem, all the teams that we've talked about for years around here. And geographically, it'll be pretty friendly, just over in Portsmouth to make those trips. And as you mentioned, Gerald Cadogan and President Braun are really excited about this move. They're bringing up football in 2028, which is basically the year they will be ready to compete at all levels, and the transitional period ends. So, man, they're really excited about it, and good for them to have that kind of vision and have the commitment from the administration to make that move up. That is not a small thing to do.
From your vantage point, how could you describe the difference between, say, NAIA athletics and D2 athletics? Are there financial perks to going up another level? I'm sure the competition is something a little different.
Yeah, and then the scholarship monies is a little bit different, how they fund them, how you can divvy up scholarships, the number of players you can have on scholarships. And then I think facilities enter into it as well, and the athletes that you can recruit. And as we talked about yesterday on signing day, now there's a little bit of a pathway. If you're really, really good in Division II, you can make that move if you want to go on up and try to get into the FCS level or maybe even the FBS level. There's an avenue to do that. So just across the board, it elevates your athletics. And don't forget, Shawnee State won a national title in basketball
Not very long ago.
Yeah, they were powerful. Their women's program was powerful. So it's not as if they're strangers to success in athletics. So I think they're ready to make the jump.
I think I read part of their press release. It was either cross country or track and field. They've won a national championship there as well. I think they've won 3 since '88 when they full-fledged had an athletic department, started playing ball.
Yeah.
Men's and women's basketball, and then whichever the third one was, either track or cross country. But yeah, so no stranger to success. Now it sounds like these next 2 years, it is a provisional period. So as far as competing for anything further than a conference championship, they would have to wait until the 2028 fall and that academic athletic calendar to be eligible for a D2 national championship. But still, this is just part of that step-by-step process of moving on up.
Yeah,
it's pretty big.
And they don't want to be in a hurry anyway. You want to get all your ducks in a row. They've got facilities work to do, hiring coaches, they've got a lot of things to do to get their program up to where they think they can compete as they hit the ground against the Mountain East Conference opponents, which have been at that level for a long time. So, although you want to be in a hurry, you better kind of take it slowly and make sure everybody's ready to go. And, when you make that move, they're going to be excited in 2028 and even before that as they get ready to elevate.
I think about it just from the football perspective, too, with Shawnee State getting a football program going, or at least having the intentions of getting that thing going. We're trending that way. Rio with its football program as well. You know as well as anybody, it's hard for a lot of our local athletes at times to get recruited. And so to have Shawnee State add that to the mix, Rio to add that to the mix, on top of the schools like West Virginia State, where Caden Murphy's going, or West Liberty, where a guy like Aaron McPherson is going. I think it's great just for our local high school athletes who may not understand how important it is right now because they're not thinking about it, but in a couple of years, when that becomes an option for you, that's huge.
And it becomes an option for a lot of local athletes, as you talk about, because you don't have to go across the country to play college football. Your friends and family can make it over there and come watch. And as you mentioned, with 2 more programs, Rio and Shawnee, in addition to the others that we have already, more opportunities for high school kids who, frankly, have had opportunities taken away because of the transfer portal.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, too. Obviously, you were around covering Marshall sports when they made the jump.
Yep.
From an administrative standpoint, maybe this is a Gerald Cadogan and President Braun question if we're able to get them in here at some point, but what kind of legwork does that take to approach the NCAA and say, these are our intentions, what do we need to do?
Well, they have a list of things that you have to accomplish, and you've got to get to certain points, and scholarship funding was the biggest one from Marshall when they went FCS Division I AA then to Division I-A.
So they basically say you need to make sure you have the money to be able to offer those scholarships.
You got to offer, at that time, I think it was 60 to 85 scholarships, so 25 more scholarships. You add that up to what that amounts to in a college year. There's a lot of money involved. Scheduling, going into a conference, making sure you have opponents as opposed to some teams that jump in independent.
That's got to be hard.
Yeah, and to hit the ground running and to win right away is not easy. And you can tick off on 2 hands the number of teams that have made that transition going into FBS and have done so well. Marshall being one of them. North Dakota State now is going to go and play at the FBS level in football only, and you know what they've done at the FCS level. So for Shawnee to do this, they've got to be ready to go, and there's going to be a transition period where they're going to go, wow, this is that level of football. I mean, I remember UC had a kid, John Kaminsky was his name, ended up with the Detroit Lions. He was a monster, but he played Division II in the Mountain East Conference. So it'll be a little bit eye-opening, but you know what? If you have the right administration, you got the right coaches, you got the athletic director that's on board, and everybody's pulling in the same direction, no reason to say it can't be done. And the community gets behind it. That's important too.
Well, I mean, Portsmouth and Shawnee State certainly interlocked. I mean, it's right there downtown, and a lot of local students end up going there just for school, let alone athletes too, and there's plenty of local athletes there as well. So I would like to think they have a stronghold on that as well.
Yeah, and let's look at it from an historical standpoint. I mean, Portsmouth and its history with football.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the Portsmouth Spartans going to the Detroit Lions and all the great teams that they played over there at Spartan Stadium and, the Ironton Tanks at that time. I mean, to me, Portsmouth is one of those founding cities that started the NFL. And so it only makes sense that there's football in downtown Portsmouth again. That's cool.
Well, there's always just been athletes, period, coming out of Portsmouth.
Yeah, regardless.
So you give them another opportunity that's right there in your backyard. That's great, whether you're talking football or baseball. Plenty of baseball guys, baseball people, period, come from Portsmouth. We just had a Portsmouth girls basketball team in here, defending state champs in here. So, there are athletes in that part of Scioto County.
Yeah, we were up there in the summer when Al Oliver got inducted into the Pittsburgh Pirates Hall of Fame. So, yeah, you could tick off some Portsmouth athletes, and it's quite a resume. And so I think it's a lot of pride for the area too, and I think that'll show when they completely make the jump.
Looks like they're adding the color orange, at least for the football program. I don't know if that's athletics department wide, but if you go to their website,
so orange and bluish kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
All right. Well, you might as well.
I don't know what the rules are. I would pull it up on here, but it's an orange and blue vibe there. It's not just the blue and white that you're used to with
Okay.
Shawnee.
If you're going to change it up, then change it all.
Let's go.
Change your brand. Let's jump in with both feet.
Yeah. When I was living in Evansville, of course, their basketball team's purple and orange, but
That's
it wasn't always that way. I think it was mainly purple and white. And long, long ago, some basketball coach said, well, we're going to start wearing some orange now. And then that's what it's become.
I mean, people do studies on that stuff. What colors do fans think are cool? So
Yeah.
we'll leave that up to the experts.
We'll leave that up to Gerald Cadogan and whoever else.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Keith, you got anything else, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll let you get back downstairs. I
Okay.
will land this plane and take it home.
All right, man.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thanks,
We'll
Joseph.
see you next week up here, but
Yes,
I'll
sir.
see you in a bit.
Okay.
That was Keith Morehouse as he heads back downstairs. This has been another edition of WSAZ Sports Plus live. So that's what our intention is moving forward. It seems like many of you have been tuning in to these live editions of WSAZ Sports Plus. And if that's the case, thank you very much. Appreciate you tuning in. Keith and I typically have recorded these episodes on Tuesdays. So when we get this thing ironed out to where I know for sure what day and time we're going to do this, I will let you know. But it'll either be Tuesdays at 4 o'clock or Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. Today, it happened to be Wednesday at 4 o'clock. But if you want to make it easier on yourself, just make sure you have the WSAZ app downloaded and you have live notifications toggled, and it's going to notify you as soon as we go live, and all you got to do is push the button. So you won't miss us there. Per usual, we will be posting all of these episodes in their entirety on the WSAZ app, so you don't have to watch live. You can always watch after the fact. We'll be continuing to post the audio on Spotify and podcast platforms on Apple and everywhere else. So everything else remains the same. The difference is we're just coming to you live either on Tuesdays or Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. I hope that was an articulate enough explainer that is our plan. Right, Chelsea? Chelsea, it's not just me and Keith in here now. Chelsea Armstrong, who runs the streaming desk for us, she's always up in here sending those push alert notifications out to you guys as well. So appreciate you joining us, and I guess we'll see you next week. Remember, Fired Up Friday returns as well. I should plug that. We're going to Nitro. The earth has thawed out. We can do Fired Up Friday again. So I'll see you Friday. We'll see you up here in the WSAZ Now studio next week. That has been WSAZ Sports Plus. We'll see you.